we have very special guest, Edo Sadikovic, who is working on a very amazing project that actually caught my eye a couple of years ago, really. And then I was like, man, I want to speak to this guy, and here we have him now. So Edo, please introduce yourself and tell us who you are.
Thank you very much, Jason, and for the invitation. Yes, I am Edo, and I'm coming originally from Serbia, but I live in between Spain and Portugal, and I'm co-founder of the project which is called Sende. Sende is like a rural co-working and co-living space, basically like offices where people who work remotely can come and work, but we are located in the 20 inhabitants village in northern Spain, Galicia, right on the border with Portugal. So basically, I'm co-founder of Sende, but at the same time, I would say that I'm a social entrepreneur. I'm basically fascinated with problems we can solve in the world by using entrepreneurship. And so besides Sende, I am also like starting the small projects and starting some bigger ones that are actually related with education in the world of entrepreneurship. And I would also add that I'm part of one network which is called Youth Peace Ambassadors. And what we do in the last 7-8 years, basically we are a group of about 100 people from all over the world. We organize educations that are related with conflict transformation, peace building, dialogue, human rights, etc., etc. So it's like kind of my professional work and hobby are related with all these three things. And yeah, most of my time I'm spending working on it.
It's good to have you with us, Edo. I love the Sende project. I checked it out. So without further ado, first Aero Design being purpose, I understand it's a co-working, co-living project, but what is like the deeper purpose of Sende really?
Mm-hmm. So yeah, so usually co-working is something that's related with the big cities, no? There's something that we can find in New York, in London, in Madrid, in Barcelona. But okay, we decided, okay, what if we build something like so modern, but in the middle of nowhere, in the village, because purpose of Sende is a bit broader than just renting offices or accommodation for people. Purpose of Sende is more, is actually, it's resolving the problem. Our business model actually resolving the problem of loneliness, because today we have so many digital nomads who are traveling the world. So digital nomads are people who are traveling the world while working online. And the number of these people is skyrocketing. So what is actually our business model is that we combat their loneliness. They come there, they come in our village, and they just put their backpack on the floor, and we give them one onion and the knife. They start chopping, they start drinking a beer and starting chatting around, and by the end of the evening they know 5 to 10 new people. And basically this is the space that provides community and friends to people who work professionally. So and at the same time, in the world, there is so much burnout. We're starting to live in this burnout culture with a lot of stress. So our kind of mission is to make, because we all need to work, we all need to make money in order to survive, unless we are some lucky few ones who doesn't need this. And so we just want to improve this experience of work. So when you, in 20 years from now, when you think and say, hey, I remember my time when I was working and it was really nice and I was in Sende. So it's kind of, that's one of our missions. Another mission of Sende is to help villages. So I don't know how it's in the UK, but in the big chunk of Europe and the world, actually, there is huge problems with abandoned villages. People are looking for bread in the cities, so villages are getting abandoned. So we also want to show how we can use villages in order to give them like another chance, another use of villages. So through technology, through innovation, and through co-living. And through also co-living with the people who are actually since forever there, like our neighbors, for example.
Awesome. Like I think That's just so cool when you said giving people ability to find, to escape loneliness effectively and find community. But talk to us a little bit more about people. Maybe start first with yourself. Like, how did you end up doing this, and why, perhaps, and also what kind of people are coming to Sendai?
Mm-hmm. So I was traveling a lot before. I was traveling quite a lot, and also I met my partner Maria, who is Spanish, in Serbia, where I in one mountain. It's also in a tiny village where we were organizing some human rights education. And so basically, my job before was to organize international events in one mountain in Serbia, and we started organizing there because it was cheaper. So we would rent one mountaineer's home, and at the same time, I was organizing the same events in Budapest, in Belgrade, in bigger cities, in Strasbourg. And I saw the difference. Like after our event in the village, people are crying. They fell in love with each other. They don't want to go home. And the cities, okay, it was nice experience, but and just the thing is that people are not so used to nature, and they're like bigger focus there, and there is no other activity, so they focus more on people. We gather around fire, because in the city they gather around discoteca or disco, and they just lose the focus around. So that's the big difference. And I think my idea clicked there when one Sarah, who friend from Spain, who was participant in one of the events in Serbia, she told me, she was there like 3 times on the 3 different events, and she told, Edo, when are you going to organize this kind of events, but not that they last 7 days, that they last a year or forever? And I think that was the moment when the idea clicked. And I didn't know about co-working, co-living. This was 2009, 2010. Then I started investigating, okay, there are kind of impact hubs that is started in London, in Newcastle. So I said, okay, we could do something like this, but in the village. And I didn't know, like, for the term co-living, but idea was to make a world house where I'm going to bring all people I meet on my road, on the travel, so they can come to my place, but not just for vacation. So our idea was to bring these people to this world house in the village, where we can do something. Okay, come here, we will enjoy, but also let's build something, whatever, online or offline, and let's just be creative. And in that moment also I found out about co-living, and we just took this train, and it was actually, Sende was one of the first, I think, co-living in the world that started, because we started in 2013-14. And so that was the idea when we started. So people who come to Sende, until now we had more than 3,000 people from 50 plus countries, and there are all kind of profiles. So at the evening, when we are sitting at the table and having dinner, there is like 20-25 people, and it's very difficult that 2 persons are from the same country. So it's like it's also like micro travel for me. No, we are sitting there, and all these people who come, they are super curious. These are people who decide not to go to Barcelona, not to go to Madrid, but they decide to come from South Africa to the village in Galicia. No, that was almost abandoned. So usually these people are super curious. No, these people are also world travelers, and they are big sick of the cities, so they look for something more. So it's like a small library where we learn so much why we eat, for example. And this happens during the almost whole year, when we are during the whole season. So we have people who are entrepreneurs, engineers, architects, even lawyers, programmers, innovators, even people come who drove series for Netflix, for Disney, for Cartoon Network, even people from Google comes. So from IKEA. So many of creatives come to Sende, I think, who just want to get inspired. And often to get inspired, we need to go out from what we know, no, from the settings that is well known, or where we are very comfortable. So we have a lot of urban people in the tiny village, and that's also very funny, because they don't know how to walk even in the village. So it's super interesting.
So kind of on the systems side then, Edo, because obviously you've got the co-living, co-working, but it sounds to me that the real product of Sende is really the people that you're meeting and interacting with. So how do you go about systematically, attracting the kind of people that you want to be having in the village, and then once everyone's there, how do you, again, systematically, repeatedly create a fertile environment for people to build meaningful relationships?
Yes, exactly. So it's Sende works because of people, and without people, it would be just houses in the village, the houses that existed before. So it's almost always because of people, and I think the strength of our place and the places like Sende, it's all this difference that comes in, no. So what we are kind of good at is this process of hosting people, onboarding people, and giving them this liberty to work, but also to cook, to do whatever they like in the village. So basically, when people come there, they are super free, and they respect the group, and they co-live inside the place, and kind of clicks, it kind of works. It's kind of peer pressure and village pressure, but like easy pressure, so that everything works. And also what we try to do is like bit to communicate online what we do through Instagram, through our web, in order to a bit, I would say, filter out people who will come there, but kind of filter out in a good way. So when I receive mail, and sometimes we have maybe 25 questions from a person who want to come, and I usually say, maybe this is not place for you. So it's much easier to go on Airbnb and find some very nice accommodation, and even much nicer accommodation than ours, because Sunday's experience, it's not hotel. So we always try to say this: maybe you will have a good night's sleep here, definitely, because it's so peaceful and it's fresh in the evening. But maybe you will not have all the necessity that if you are kind of fancy traveler. But what you will have is an experience that you will not forget. And this is what kind of happens. That I remember this August, we had the people, 70% of people repeated, which is crazy. When we started this, we thought no one will ever come back because it's far, it's in the mountain. And I'm glad that I was wrong.
That's one kind of example of where you want to be wrong. If you're running a business or any kind of project, you want to be wrong on the negatives and right on the positives. And one of the things that I've always advocated, and it's the reason really deep down why I wanted to speak to you, Edo, about Sende, is that I've been advocating the idea that an office space should be indistinguishable from nature. So like, I'm a big fisherman, so I love to go fishing. And I was thinking, why can't I cast my fishing rod into the lake and be working on the side while I'm waiting for the fish to bite, which may take hours, okay? And that's always been kind of my idea. And then I came across Sende, and it's like, oh, this guy has actually pulled it off. It seems like a kind of place where I can do that. But what would you say is the core innovation of Sende in the kind of grander context of the work-life environment that we're living in?
Definitely, and I think it's a wonderful idea to fish and to work, and I think it's possible just if there is a 4G in the place that it should work. For example, exactly that's what we are advocating for. So, for example, even we have trails around Sende. We have mapped trails, one with a lot of hill, and other trails that are quite flat for people who don't like to go uphill. And so what we promote is that they take their calls and Zoom calls while walking, and that they say, okay, I don't want camera, I want audio, and I want to take a meeting while having walk. And that's what I'm doing. For example, tomorrow I have 2 meetings, and I'm usually a bit against of organizing meetings. So I try to put all the meetings in the week in one day, and then I request to be on audio meetings. And then I say, okay, let's have a WhatsApp call, and I will take a walk. And I also encourage person to take a walk while we speak. And often it's much easier. We are so much creative when we walk and when we speak than when we are sitting in a room. So these kind of small things that are related with nature, for me personally, work very, very well. So, or when we need to do some brainstorming, okay, let's have a walk. Let's even go to the pool. We have this huge village pool that was built for watering if there is no water in the village. So they have this huge deposit, but it's like Olympic pool, and we use it like for swimming. And then we bought these water mattresses, these floaties, and often we organize meetings there. So sometimes even when we have some serious company comes who is in the suits all year and they want to have meeting with us, I say, okay, bring a swimming suit. They come and they are like super surprised. Then I give them a flamingo floaty and they put their swimming suit and we go and we float in the water and we speak. And this is like in the middle of nature, like it's with a view on the mountains of Portugal. And this conversation is 10 times better, more creative than if we are sitting in one room speaking. That room is like with the sign, don't enter, blah, blah, blah. And I still didn't met anyone who didn't like it. So it's so I think we should basically use nature for this. And I even wrote a blog. I didn't publish it, but you reminded me now. 3 meetings, because now in Portugal, where we are building Sende 2, we have maybe 500 trees, like huge trees, also the trees, cork trees, and they are quite easily accessible. Not for everyone, of course, not everyone can climb. It's not very, very, very friendly, but I just motivate people, and I wrote this article that we should change how we use the meetings and we should connect it more with the nature. And then if people like to build a tree, so let's do 3 meetings. So we did actually here 2 meetings on the low tree, and you just get this giraffe view, no? And you are up in the leaves and you speak about serious stuff. It's kind of uncomfortable, but different, and it works. So yeah, I think there is so much to experiment, and I loved your fishing idea. You should definitely try.
Awesome.
I mean, I love what you said, Edo, right? I think very often, and actually, Jason, this idea that the office should also be indistinguishable from nature. I mean, I see my own office as somewhere very portable. So basically, like if I got my backpack and I got internet connection, I could be sitting on top of a mountain and still like doing my stuff, right? Edo, I want to come back on one thing you said actually that ties back into products. So what are some of the most amazing things that you've seen being produced from Sende? Because you mentioned, you know, that the meetings are much more productive, but what are like some of the outcomes of these really, you know, it's like free-flowing environment, you know, relationships, ideas, projects, new things that have emerged?
Yeah, definitely. Like the networking is Sende is so it's like so Sende is like camping. If you, I don't know if you had the experience as a kid to go to some camping with scouts or something similar. Just it's some you get this experience that you never forget, and you bond with people. So it's same as Sende. So what some of the products is that people offer very, very often hire each other. Like I was seeing that people make like $30,000 contract in our garden desk, just the garden table, because today in the world what we have is there is so many professionals, even very good professionals, but we don't know who to hire, and we usually don't trust people to hire until we pass through some process. But in Sende, kind of just because we cook together, maybe if you prepare tonight some nice couscous and I enjoy it, and tomorrow you told me, oh, hey, I'm graphic designer. Okay, I want to hire you, because maybe if I trusted you with your food, maybe I will trust you with your graphic design skills. And so this kind of things is very, very common, that people hire each other. Even nowadays, people call us to ask if we can recommend someone from Sende who will work on some big project with other people. So that's one of the things. Another what also people connect with each other. They travel a lot, so often we get photos. Okay, hey, we are in Bali, we are in San Francisco, we are in Berlin, and they are like groups of people who live together or they travel together just because they met there. Now in Setúbal here, nearby in the village, there is like 7 people who were in Sende, and they met in the last 3 years, and now they're renting their own house, and they just live and work. But also, what we try to do there is like we try to build projects, because we are also, as I mentioned, entrepreneurs. So right now, for example, we are building this new project. It's called Village Nomads, where we are deconstructing what digital nomads are doing. We are deconstructing their businesses and then telling this through nice tutorials to people who would like to start their own business, who would like to start to become digital nomads. But it's called Village Nomads because we want to solve one big problem, and that is that many people who live in the village, they abandon the village because they need to go to big city to find work. And what we do is that we want to teach them digital nomad skills so they can start working online and they can start living in and they can stay living in their village. And I think this is like one of the big causes that we want to solve, because still no one solved the idea of why villages getting abandoned and how to prevent it. And I think this village nomads is will be much bigger project than we are actually, and we hope that we are going to help many villages and people actually to get some skills that will help them stay in the village and start something online.
I mean, I just wanted to bounce on that before we dive into money. Edo, exactly what you said, this whole revitalizing the villages. We've seen a big move towards urban centers, but actually the past years, people are actually moving out again back to the farmland. So I have a very good friend of mine in Romania who's a software engineer who's actually moved out of the city, bought some farmland and does his job perfectly, but from the comfort of a farm instead of a small city apartment.
Definitely. This will be for sure trend, and I think village is next Bitcoin, in my opinion, because now with internet you can do anything and you are more free. There is no like you wake up and you make your breakfast, your orange juice, your coffee, and you start working. You don't need to pass 20 semaphores or metros or stuff to come to the office, and people really respect this, and so I think this will be a big trend. I know many people who are moving to village actually, and full support.
Yeah, totally. And in my personal life, we were living in zone 2 of London, which is almost like very strict center. And actually my health was really bad, throughout those years. And then 10 years ago, we decided to move more into the suburbs. So where I'm sitting right now feels a lot more like village. The air is much cleaner, and my overall health, both mental and physical, has been much better, and actually ability to concentrate and think much better. And of course, I'm be able to fish down in a little pond and stream just under my house. And people sometimes ask me, why do you do that? Because you just kind of catch the fish and let them go. And it's like, because that's what we're supposed to be doing, be more in nature. And it's just so much fun. But how does money work, Edo, in this whole project? Is it a for-profit project? How do people pay? What if Mo and I wanted to pitch up in Sunday? How would that work?
Yes, Sunday is like a small business. So basically people pay to stay there. People pay like around 550 euros for a month, and then people chip in for the food. So we buy a lot of food, we cook together, and at the end of the month people just pay, they chip in a bit. So basically every day we eat gourmet food that is cooked together. So one day you are cooking, another day Mo and someone and Lara are cooking, tomorrow Edo and Maria are cooking, etc. And then we try to eat together, and at the end of the month we just split the costs. It's kind of actually it's kind of for accommodation for the village nomads, but we try to it's a very small business. There are only two of us who is running it, so it's for us is more than enough. So that's one thing, and then we also have these kind of online projects where we teach, and so that's another kind of income that we have that is also related with Sende. And now in Portugal we are building this space, and we are still deciding on model, but there is one of the idea is that this place becomes completely for free. People would need to apply to come. They can stay in Portugal here, they can stay up to 1 month, but they will be involved in solving kind of big social problems that can be solved mostly online, and that are related with traveling and with online work. And instead, by working on these problems, maybe people will not need to pay Sende, but half of their time maybe they can spend in resolving some really important problem that happens somewhere in rural world. Yeah.
Fantastic.
So I like what you said about the free thing. Essentially, again, moving away from money and like actually connecting with people, right? At the end of the day, people is the key, shall we say, asset and wealth in existential sense. So on growth then, Edo, like, you know, you mentioned you're opening a second place. How are you measuring growth? What does growth look like? What are you looking for in general? Like, what's the next step?
So I'm quite against this startup culture, even though I'm following it. I'm really pro tiny business. I like that concept of tiny business where we can have our ideal salary. That I think every person has an ideal number, realistic number that can achieve, and so which is contrary of the startup where we are, or our objective is to pursue for money and to get millions. This is like, actually no, this is more thinking where to stop, no, how to make ideal tiny business that will work, where we are going to get maybe reach the ideal number, but at the same time to reach the spot where we are going downhill, but with our time, where we are getting to get more time, but to keep the same salary. And I think that's the idea of Sende and what we promote here. And when you mention this concept about money, what we have, I think why so many people comes to Sende, it's because when you wake up in the morning, you open your window and in some city, and you see bars, you see restaurants, you see kiosks, you see places where you can where you are going to spend the money. So all the time, when we live in city, we say, okay, I'm in the office and I look all these businesses from the office. So that means that I need to make money. So I go down the street and I spend this money on these things. And in Sende, you open the window and you see mandarinas, you see kiwis, you see grapes, you see all these kind of garden veggies, and it's all free. You go there and you just take it and you just cook it. And so people who come to Sende, they don't touch money for 1 month unless they decide, okay, I go to another village and I go to bar. But there is no bars there, so they drink, they eat as much as they want. They don't touch money, and at the end of the stay they just pay what they spent, and what they pay is much cheaper than what they would pay in any city for the quality they get. And I think this concept of gives us liberty, because when we don't think of money, when we don't think that we need to make in order to spend, that's actually when we are creative, and that's when we are innovative. And I think that's something that is really worth of investigation.
Well, again, so I love what you said, Edo. Again, the whole point of growth in a design company is not necessarily to pursue financial growth, but really to just say, what is your personal definition of growth? And to me, it just sounds like basically your personal definition is to enjoy life as more and more, whilst working less and less and meeting more and more good people.
Definitely, and we are very fine with this. Yeah.
Awesome. And I think that's the difference between the word business and a company. You know, company is like being in a good company. And I absolutely fantastically enjoyed this conversation, Ada. I'm so glad. I can't remember how I stumbled over Sende, but I actually took me a little bit of time to actually, you know, muster up the confidence to reach out to you, because it's somehow in my head, I see you as a bit of a hero, you know, and I was like, will this guy even respond to my tweets, you know? So yeah, thank you very much. And is there any particular final kind of closing message that you would like to share with anyone who listens to this, especially now that it's a new year, you know, and a lot of people, you know, are kind of, you know, seeing the village as a much more inviting place to be at?
Definitely. Well, I would just it's kind of promotion, but it's also, now we are not, at the moment there is not actually money there, but there is a lot of value. So we are starting this project which is called villagenomads.com, and it's basically this. We want to teach people how they can do something on their own, build their tiny business, and just do what they like. They can, like, if we have this tiny business, we can live in the village, we can live wherever we want, and we can work more on our actually mental health in general. So yeah, I would just recommend that people check this out, and nothing else. I think that it's today it's very easy to start something on our own, and often we have the solution, but or we are not brave, or we are not confident, but we are all in this kind of in the same mess, and I think the exit is very around. So it's like we should. I'm really glad actually that you reached out, and I'm actually not very good Twitter person, and I'm not very good Twitter guy, but I'm glad that we connect, and it's often like this, like just asking for advice, or just asking a question, and it's usually sometimes can resolve us so many doubts. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And also for anybody who is a digital nomad, especially for companies that are working with virtual teams, Anya software is now ready also, and you can check it out on meetanya.com, where you can start a free trial there and keep understanding and keep getting insights from all your employees across the company and how well they're doing, both on the mental health and emotions, as well as what they're thinking and ideas and complaints that they might have, or problems that they identify, so you can fix them no matter where your employees are. Thank you very much, Edo, once again.